Hello and welcome to the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League live tonight from Mid-Ohio for race number 8 in this 11-race summer season. My name is Adam Baker and I'm going to be in the booth here at V-Speed tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here on a rainy evening at Mid-Ohio. This is, again, race 8 of 11. These drivers have had quite the season so far. They just raced last night at Watkins Glen and made the trip over here to Mid-Ohio. And the weather not quite cooperating right now. Hopefully we get a little bit clearer as the session progresses, but this is going to be the format here this evening. 2 20-minute sessions as usual, and top 12 invert. We've only got 7 cars on track tonight, but should be exciting nonetheless. We've seen small fields the last few races, but has been very entertaining to say the least, with a photo finish last week in the feature event. The drivers will invert going into the feature after the heat race, and they will invert also from qualifying into the race session. Let's head trackside now and take a look at where your favorite drivers are starting here tonight. All right, it looks like Mike Nickham going to be rolling off from the front of the field this evening here at Mid-Ohio. But in terms of qualifying speed, Brian Kennedy going to be the top of the charts there. Dean Tulane alongside him as we get the green flag here from Mid-Ohio. Late start for us on the broadcast, but they're off and away. This is your qualifying order that you're seeing on the screen at the moment. As the field works through the first couple of corners, we'll get the track map up there. You can see where they're at on the racetrack. Matthew Gazenda, Cole Jordan 5th and 6th, and Mike Nickham were rounding out the qualifying order, but now they're inverted and the battle is on for second right away. It's Cole Jordan and Clint Fletcher. Good to see Cole Jordan out here. Once again, Clint Fletcher won last night at Watkins Glen and what looked to be a very close finish amongst the top 3. Once again, all separated by less than 2 seconds. Not quite the closeness that we saw after Aragon last week, but it has been quite the season amongst these drivers. We'll pull up the point standings in a little bit, but the battle's on for the lead, and Cole Jordan's going to go on through to the top spot. Mike Nickham in second. Again, track conditions here very wet. It's only 64 degrees on the track surface, and that is continuing to stay that way. As big slide there by Mike Nickham. He's getting chased down by Clint Fletcher. Keep an eye on the 69 to get up there and battle for the race win. He's been so good here the last few races. Finally got that victory. The monkey off his back there last night. So we'll take a look at the standings. Coming into this evening, we've got just a handful of races left in the season. Brian Kennedy now jumps to the top of the standings. Dean Tulane, Mike Nickham, Matt Gazenda, Scott Kim, your top 5. That is how they all shake out coming in here. So it's going to get closer and closer with the drop weeks and how things shake out. Pretty well spaced out at the moment. Brian Kennedy all the way back here in 7th. Not sure what happened to him at the very start of this one, but obviously not the start that he would like to have had. Back here in 7th place. He's got some time to catch up. Colin Kortnick, looks like he's just gotten around Dean Tulane, who's had an issue here. Slow down as we've got a car, I think, catching the wall. Clint Fletcher going for a big slide. He's caught the barrier. What is going on with Clint Fletcher? As he was battling with Mike Nickham. And the back end just came around on that AMG machine. And he pancaked it along the concrete wall down the backstretch. we go back live here, he falls to the 4th position. And I hear another one going for a slide right there behind. That's Dean Tulane. This track very wet. You can see the particles of rain there, and we've got standing water in a few of these corners. That is not good for racing, but these guys are out here nonetheless trying to make laps, and it's really slowed the pace up. And Cole Jordan has driven away now 5.3 seconds, and he leads his second lap of the race. It is not even close right now for that Porsche. Mike Nickum hanging on to second after leading for a little bit. Actually led lap 1, and then Cole Jordan took it away on lap number 2. Matthew Gazenda starting to close in. He's a 2-time winner this season in the 52 machine. Let's look from the inside of that BMW, and you can see the wipers hard at work from the inside of the race car, and a big wake of spray there behind the 57 machine as they work down the backstretch. You can hardly see the brake lights, and you can see they're working offline. Even though that's a slight kink on the straightaway, it's enough to obviously upset the cars, as Clint Fletcher went for the big slide through there, but he's now recovered and trying to chase down Gazenda, who's going to go very deep into the corner, nearly goes off, but able to stay on the racetrack. Top 5 all well within reach of each other, other than the race leader. Brian Kennedy starting to close in like we said he would. He's always a contender in these races. That's why he's at the top of the point standings. Dean Tulane with heavy left front damage back here in 7th. This is going to be a problem for the 84. Obviously not going to get the finish he wants. He'll get the benefit of the invert. If he does end up finishing in 7th place, he'd start on the pole for race number 2. But not a good start to the evening in tough conditions nonetheless. Now we're about to get a battle. Matthew Gazenda, Clint Fletcher going to race back towards the start finish line. 14 minutes left in this one, and he is all over the back of the 52. Matthew Gazenda going through the only seemingly drier groove. You can kind of see where that is. Mike Nickum navigates through there, and then these two going to follow him. And this version of the track does have the chicane here on this section between what would otherwise be turns 1 and 2. So that does make things interesting, especially with the conditions we've got. And really good drive off the corner for the 52 of Matthew Gazenda. Clint Fletcher not able to put the power down, and he has got a mirror full and flashing headlights from Colin Kortnick, who gets a big slide on as well, and Brian Kennedy has caught this group of cars now. Oh, just right on the edge of the racetrack goes Kortnick. And out the back from Matthew Gazenda. Just have to wait so long to get back to the throttle in these types of conditions, and you're always looking for the driest spot on the track, which usually is going to be the higher or outside groove of what you would usually run if it was dry conditions. You can see just looking for some grip everywhere they can. And it does look like we've got some sun out, so that's going to change things. The lap times will start picking up. Currently the best lap of the race is Cole Jordan with a 150.86, and he is by far and away the fastest car in the wet so far in this race. He's fastest by about 0.3 of a second over Brian Kennedy, but those two are multiple seconds ahead of everyone else on the racetrack in terms of fast lap. But the times are starting to pick up just a little bit as you see Cole Jordan off in the distance. Now the gap 11.1 seconds as we keep an eye on 2nd through 6th. Dean Tulane did bring it down pit road to get the damage repaired on that car. Finds himself well behind the race leader, about 1 minute and 7 seconds behind Brian Kennedy. who has lost a bit of time now to the rest of the top 5. It's so difficult to even see these cars as they race down the straightaway nose to tail like this. And it's got to be a problem when you're in the race car as well, to try and know where your braking zone is, to even know where the corner is when you've got that spray. See everybody having to check up a little bit as Mike Nickum leads this group. I think the 3 cars behind are a little bit quicker, but big bobble there as we ride on board Colin Kortnick in the 32 machine. We'll race down the next straightaway down the backside of the racetrack into the final few corners of this lap, and it's looking like we'll get about 11 laps in this event. Then we do have the feature later on. Did want to give a shout out to the sponsors as well. We didn't have much of an intro tonight, but Gunfire Games and Duncan Racing Designs, the presenting sponsors of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. A side-by-side battle for third. Matthew Gazenda on the outside of the track, but Fletcher was trying to find a way around, could not get it done there. Here comes Colin Kortnick, going to go to the outside, driver's left into the chicane. They're going to be door to door in the wet. Things starting to get faster and faster, though. We're seeing 149s and 150s across the board in this field, and those laps will just get quicker and quicker as the track continues to dry out that much more. And the gap is somewhat stabilized at 12.5 seconds to Cole Jordan. But Fletcher going to get out of the spray here, and he's going to get a nice run down into the tight right-hand corner, almost alongside the 52 of Matthew Gazenda. And just a little bit more stable, I think, under braking conditions is that 69 machine. Everybody else seems to be kind of wiggling just a little bit, but holding strong, no major mistakes. You see the big bobble right there, though. The 69 losing a car length, now getting caught back up. Everyone else checking up behind him. Brian Kennedy is there, and your points leader looking to gain some points in this one after being starting at the back of the field. We got the bonus points for fastest lap, but has not been able to get through the field at all. Cole Jordan went from second on the starting grid all the way to the race lead, so just actually that's only one position, made it sound like a lot more. But he has driven away. It's like he's driven through the field multiple times with how far he's gone out in front. But it's tough when you're riding behind somebody and you've got this spray in your face, as maybe a little mistake there from Brian Kennedy. He lost a bit of ground through the... Oh, we've got a wreck in front of him. Clint Fletcher and Matthew Gazenda, who'd been racing it up for so much of this event so far. Back, take a look at the replay. He got down to the inside, made contact, and they just stuck together. See if we can get another view of what happened here. Yeah, just came up off the bottom of about a foot or two, and I think the 52 was trying to pinch him down maybe a little bit, but ultimately doesn't work out for either of them. They'll go to the tail end of the field, other than Dean Tulane, who's still well behind. Now that leaves just Brian Kennedy, Colin Kortnick, and Mike Nickum really in contention to battle. And look at the haze here, trying to see through the rain from a distance. It's not very good visibility tonight in Mid-Ohio. These guys are making it work the best that they can, but not ideal conditions for racing, as Matthew Gazenda's had issues. We're going to go and see if there was any contact involved in this one, or maybe a solo spin. You see him here at the lower part of the screen. It just goes for a big, long, lazy slide. Lost the grip into the tire barrier. That'll crinkle the nose of that race car just a tiny bit. And he will fall to the 6th position. That hands 5th over to Clint Fletcher. Colin Kortnick is now closing in on Mike Nickum. The sun continuing to shine through the clouds a bit, but it's still coming down. Just a little bit lighter than it was, although it looks maybe like it's picking up again. Really cool that they've added this into iRacing and just how realistic it is, as he's going to take a dive down to the inside, nearly makes contact with Mike Nickum. That was a close call. Had to check up, lost a lot of ground. Brian Kennedy just kind of waiting for his moment. I think he could be the quickest car on the track other than Cole Jordan, but just trying to find an opportunity to make a clean pass. How about Mike Nickum, though, hanging on to 2nd this whole race. Here comes Colin Kortnick, going to try and go to the inside, sends it in deep, nearly contact again. And they're going to be side by side, racing back towards the start-finish line. The 57 going to give him a little bit of contact through the final turn. Then across the stripe. 5 minutes left in this race. Down into turn number 1. Who's going to have the advantage on the exit? Colin Kortnick going to be able to complete the pass. He moves to 2nd. Just as we said, the 57 had done such an amazing job holding everyone off. Still has an opportunity to get there. We've seen a few of these guys overstep it in many corners. But Mike Nickum, after starting on the pole, has now fallen to 3rd in the heat race. And you can see the format there on your bottom left. 20-minute events. We're down to just over 4 minutes left in this one. Cole Jordan has just dominated. He's taken the lead on lap number 2 and has led all the way since, so not quite flag to flag, but just about as he races down the long backstretch, headed towards the last couple of corners. This long right sweeper back to the start finish line. Gonna have just about 2 more laps to go, and actually looking like we might get to the 12 lap mark, so we'll see how things appear. 1:46 currently his lap time, so it will be very close. We might get the white flag at about 5 seconds or so. We'll have to see what that looks like. But he is out in front by a massive margin as we have battles still back here within the top 5. Mike Nickum, Brian Kennedy. Colin Kortnick hasn't driven away that far. He's still just about 5 or 6 car lengths away. Into the 2nd position, and 57 of Nickum now feeling the pressure on the back bumper. Here comes Brian Kennedy. He's come from the back of the field trying to get onto the podium. He'll have a couple more laps to do so, and lots of corners between the checkered flag and this current moment. The AMG a little bit stronger on the straightaways. Porsche again a bit better through the turns. That's the difference here this season versus other seasons that we've seen in this league. They have run all the cars in different categories at different times, but we've seen in previous seasons just a single BMW machine, so not really a strength or weakness if you're running the same car as everyone else. These multiple different makes and models each have little strengths and weaknesses that help them on different types of racetracks. This one seems to be working pretty well for the 57 with some kind of longer sweeping straightaways where you can put the power down. And then the Porsche is good through the technical sections, but They're seeing a lot more long corners here at Mid-Ohio than at maybe a very technical track. Something like Lime Rock might be more beneficial for the Porsche. Concording, now that gap has increased to over 2.2 seconds. So really the last position up for grabs, I think, is going to be between Mike Nickum and Brian Kennedy. No other real battles to speak of, so we'll just keep our eyes on this one. As Cole Jordan has, gotten to the back side of the racetrack, we've got just under a minute left in this session. It's going to be right on the edge of getting the checkered flag this time. We're getting the white flag when he crosses, so just have to keep an eye on that. They race down through the kink on the backstretch. Brian Kennedy stepping all the way out into the grass. That's not what you want to do here in the wet. It's slippery enough as it is. Mike Nickum, seeing that sunshine comes out, getting a little confidence back, and he's holding on to third. This all happening about 20 seconds behind Cole Jordan. We'll see what we get as we come back around towards the start-finish line. Through the final corner, it's saying finish. So I think we're going to get the checkered flag. And it's going to be Cole Jordan dominating here in the heat race. He'll go to the back of the feature. He'll catch the checkered flag right there as he comes across the line. The battle for second is over. It's Colin Portnick. But Mike Nickum trying to hang on here. Just one more turn. Brian Kennedy's closing in, but not going to be close enough. They'll finish third and fourth. Clint Fletcher a distant fifth after his run in there with Matthew Gazenda, who's going to come home. Looks like he'll be in the sixth position as they pile into turn one, as is tradition. Oh, but Matthew Gazenda has spun it, I believe. I'm not too sure what's going on right here. It almost looks like Clint Fletcher's trying to do a burnout towards the start-finish line, just trying to get his last enjoyment out of the wet. But Matthew Gazenda did have an issue there. He spun it out here on the last lap, and then Dean Tulane been able to just run the rest of this thing kind of all by himself in the seventh place. Able to keep it on track since the incident earlier on. As Matthew Gazenda piles in there into Clint Fletcher, who's waiting for an opportunity there, and the 52 going to give him a little bit of payback as they made some contact there early on. But all good between these guys. This checker flag is out here for the heat race. We'll cut to a quick commercial break and be right back for the feature event.
From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, Trading Paints, or via email.
This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox. For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com.
here comes Milo. Big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
No, gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
comes Slack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Join us back at the racetrack now, getting staged up for our feature event tonight from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This is race 8 of 11 in the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League summer season. And this is the second of 20-minute sessions that we have here tonight. It's going to be Dean Tulien, who came home in 7th, starting on the front row alongside Matthew Gazenda. Let's take a look at all of these guys as we get them rolling. And you can see where your favorite drivers are starting for the feature event tonight. Dean Tulien, he'll start from the top spot in the number 84 car. Rolling off second, Matthew Gazenda, a 2-time winner this season. Clint Fletcher, last night's winner at Watkins Glen. He'll roll off third in the feature event. Brian Kennedy going to start from the 4th position in that number 77 machine, the points leader so far this year. Mike Nickum going to start from the 5th spot here tonight. Colin Kortnick second in the heat race. He'll start 6th. And Cole Jordan going to start in 7th at the back of the pack after winning the heat race. And it's a slow start there for Brian Kennedy. Not sure what happened, but he's going to fall all the way to 7th. And really interesting, I'm not exactly sure what happened. We're going to take a look at if he just didn't anticipate the start correctly or what the situation was. I think we've had another moment further up as well. Matthew Gazenda, yeah, big slide there from the 77. As I think Matthew Gazenda's had an issue as well. So we'll take a quick replay. He's fallen all the way back to 7th. Yeah, definitely an off-road excursion right there for the driver of the 52. He goes on through the chicane, just missed it entirely, and so did Mike Nickum. Both of them fall to the tail end of the field. Just trying to see if anything else happened. Yeah, looks like Nickum was able to get on by during that. So we go back live now. Dean Tulien still at the front of the field. Remember, he finished in 7th. I think he only made a couple of laps before getting significant damage to the left front of that BMW, and he ended up riding the rest of the race out in 7th place. And now he's got Clint Fletcher, who's looking to go 2 in a row here this week. And how amazing would that be to win 2 nights? You know, with the level of competition that these guys bring each and every race. 69 card could be looking to complete that. And that might be the first time ever in the history of the league if someone does win 2 nights in a row. We've seen lots of drivers win many races in a row, but not in the same week necessarily. As we go to 3rd place, Colin Kortnick, he's got Cole Jordan up to 4th behind him, and off the track, I think, goes Dean Tulien. Yeah, he's gone way wide from the race lead through the sand. We're going to take a look at what happened to Dean. Yeah, just missed turn 1, goes through the sand. Does he keep it out of the wall? Just a little tap with the right rear bumper. And then he gets it back on the racetrack, but goes from 1st to last, from the penthouse to the outhouse, as they say. After leading lap number 1, not how he wanted to continue this race. Right back where he was for the heat. As Cole Jordan closing in now. Brian Kennedy, I think we saw an issue. Maybe it was Mike Nickum. Maybe Brian Kennedy. He's the one with the issue. All kinds of off-road moments in this one. Let's take a look at what happened. Brian Kennedy goes down in the tight right-hand corner, just, I think, hydroplaned a little bit through the sand, keeps him out of the tires. But well behind now as he falls to 7th place. Your points leader. Not a good start to this one, and here goes Mike Nickham now into the sand, and there's Matthew Gazenda. The rain might even be worse in this feature event. We're just going to replay all the time in this one. Let's keep an eye here. Matthew Gazenda following Mike Nickham. Did they just... Yeah, I don't know if... What happened to Mike? He just went off the track, and Gazenda went around separately. All kinds of moments here, and that has allowed Clint Fletcher to take the top spot. Colin Kortnick in second, and there goes Cole Jordan sliding. Everybody is spinning in this one. The track is soaked, and there's standing water all around. Cole Jordan, who destroyed the field, honestly, in race number 1. I mean, it was not even a competition. He's having his moment here in the feature event, and it's going to be tough to go back-to-back this evening at Mid-Ohio with the conditions the way they are. We'll see if it starts to clear up. He was definitely the fastest by a good margin throughout the heat race, but this is definitely a change of scenery as Clint Fletcher has now gone to the point. Colin Kortnick, remember, he was very quick. Finished second in the heat race. He's up to second now after starting in 6th. So he and Cole Jordan, both the biggest movers in this one so far, up 4 positions. There's definitely still a long ways to go, and it's so easy to get off track, and he's going to go for a slide in his Porsche. From 2nd place, he'll hang on to the position. Nobody really close enough to him. But that's going to open up the lead now. 6.7 seconds to Clint Fletcher. But seeing as everybody's been off track, and there goes Matthew Gazenda around. It is, and there is Brian Kennedy as well. Did we have a multi-car incident, or was that just avoiding? Matthew Gazenda gets off into the grass, goes for a slide. Brian Kennedy went really off. He hits the wall pretty good right there. Able to keep rolling, but wow, it's just every corner seemingly we've got problems for these drivers. Dean Tullian, who had his mistake early, is now back up to 4th place after starting on the pole. And he's not far behind Cole Jordan, who, we'll see what he's able to do. He's got 14 seconds he's going to have to catch Clint Fletcher. And that's just a little bit too much, I think, unless Clint makes a barrage of mistakes here. He can really afford to just take his time at this point with the rain coming down as hard as it is. It's definitely more rain than race 1. You can see the water pooling alongside the track, and then in certain areas it is just almost undrivable. I think they're all on rain tires as well. I don't think they'd be out here on the slicks, but it's really just a struggle. As look at Clinton, he's gonna even go for a big drift right there, big lazy slide. No battles to speak of. Cole Jordan starting to close in on Colin Kortnick, but he's gonna have a moment right there once again. That bottom part of the hill on the back side of the track. So there goes Dean Tullian right off in that same section. This is a struggle. This one here is a struggle for all of these drivers. I don't know if I've ever called a race where it's been this wet. We've only called a handful of rain races in general. And this is definitely the most significant. It's kind of a monsoon right now at Mid-Ohio. That's what they'll remember this one as. Monsoon at Mid-Ohio, as the battle may be starting to develop. You can see just how deep the water is in some of these spots. We look from the front of Brian Kennedy in the 5th place. And And Mike Nickum going for a slide in front of him off of turn number 1. They race back to the chicane side by side. The way things have been here, this could really go any way. They keep it orderly into the turn. Brian Kennedy trying to get back to the throttle, has a big slide. And it's just like throttle management every single second of this race. And you can't even see the racetrack. I think that's the problem for a lot of these guys. It's just the visibility is so bad that they're really having a hard time keeping it on the track. Brian Kennedy, he's up to 4th place now once again after the initial issue on the start. And he's got that left front damage after catching the tire barrier, but he seems to have picked up the pace now that he's got his car back underneath him. Still 14 seconds between Colin Kortnick and Clint Fletcher. That's a huge gap. Cole Jordan is starting to find his footing once again and is making inroads up towards 2nd place. And it really is just 1 or 2 mistakes for Clint Fletcher that could shake things back up and get all these guys battling. Right now, Clint has really been the one to just make the fewest mistakes. Just keep it nice and smooth here, just halfway through this one. The sun is yet to come out. But does not look like there's a break in the clouds, at least for some distance. No real battles to speak of. It is very difficult out here. It's hard to run close to another car with that spray. Definitely an interesting race tonight for all different reasons than what we usually see here from these guys. We're used to seeing close battling, door to door, wheel to wheel, and tonight it's all about survival and staying on the racing surface. It has been very difficult in this feature race. Not as difficult in the heat event, but we still saw a lot of drivers make small missteps, which led to bigger incidents. As really the closest cars on track are Brian Kennedy and Mike Nickum at 2.1 seconds between those guys. And then between Cole Jordan and Colin Kortnick, it's 3 seconds. And I think once the sun comes out, Cole Jordan, he's going to find a lot more speed and he'll be able to get up there and battle with Colin. And I think it's starting to clear up just a little bit. As I say that, looks like that was just a clearer patch on this racetrack, but 150s and 151s, 152s for the fastest drivers in this field. Dean Tooling had a slow lap there at 2:04, so he had a couple of moments on that lap. Finding himself right now about 55 seconds off your race leader. Matthew Gazenda back here in 7th. Not had a great night by his standards. A 2-time winner this season. Has had really a breakout season from what we've seen. But these conditions are humbling and not really his fault in race number 1, where he got into it with Clint Fletcher. Just kind of a racing incident. And just the nature of trying to battle in the wet. Get really, really tough. As we're going to keep an eye on Cole Jordan, the heat race winner, trying to make his way up to 2nd. And this is going to be a battle in probably a lap or 2, but you can see just how off throttle they are. As Cole trying to use the traditional groove. There's a little bit of grip there right now, but the rain is still falling and the spray is heavy. Going to have about 4 laps to fight for that position. He's closed up from over 3.5 seconds back. That gap just around 1 second. try and keep an eye on where he's making up time. Really good exit off the corner there. Not a great run from the 32. This is going to be about a car length down into turn number 1. Cole Jordan not able to stay right to the back bumper, but still only a few car lengths between these two Porsches. There goes Clint Fletcher off in the distance, racing away. His gap now up to 15.7 seconds. Cole trying to get a good run off that long right-hand sweeping turn. And he is going to have some draft, even though the rain makes it tough to see it. I guess you can see where the wake is, so that's where the air is being cleared out. But it's being filled with spray instead. These two closing in even more. Now it's about a car length and a half between Cole Jordan and Colin Kortnick, the 3 and the 32. We've got 3 Porsches in the field in this one, and they're all at the front. And there goes Colin off the racetrack. Cole Jordan's going to be able to slip on by. That's the small mistake that can cost you in these types of conditions. He just got half a tire off into the dirt. That was too much. There goes Cole Jordan up to second. Just a few laps remaining. Clint Fletcher crosses the stripe. We begin lap number 9. He has led 7 of the 8 laps completed. Dean Tulane led lap number 1. Finds himself in 6th place at the moment. And Clint's still struggling out here, even though he's driven away from the field, and he has not had the best lap of the race. That's actually Cole Jordan. But it's only by the slimmest of margins. Cole has had to work from 7th through the field, and all that battling and a couple of mistakes of his own has set him back now 16.5 seconds. And they're going to be coming back to 2 laps to go next time. So going to be essentially over for an opportunity to win unless that 69 car goes off track a few times, makes major mistakes. And he's fairly smooth for the moment. He knows he can give time, so might see a couple slow laps, but not necessarily. Oh, and there he goes, though. Spins it out. He's facing the wrong way. Has to get it backed up. Gets back on the throttle, but that's going to close the distance significantly. So here comes Cole Jordan. One more mistake like that, and this race is going to be up for grabs. The distance now 7.4 seconds. They're going to be coming back to 2 laps to go. It's theoretically possible here for Cole Jordan to make the drive up there. Seeing 2 laps to go, 3 minutes left in this race. The distance now 6.8 seconds as they race back through turn number 1. Cole Jordan's driven away from Colin Kortnick. We're also seeing Dean Tulane start to close up on Mike Nickum. That gap is just about 1.5 seconds. It could be a battle emerging at some point. But right now, we need to keep an eye on Clint Fletcher and see if he makes any further mistakes. If that was a more major spin and he was facing all the way around or went off into the sand or something, that could have been the full margin just eliminated right there. They'll still have 1 more lap to go when he gets back around. Still a lot of opportunities to slip up. And we've seen drivers make mistakes on every corner of this racetrack. Here he comes very gingerly through there. Right where he made the mistake before. and up over the crest. That gap still at 7 seconds. So Cole Jordan not able to make any further progress towards the race lead. But Fletcher able to keep it straight for now, and Cole Jordan has made his own mistake. He's lost second. He's now back to third. What happened to the 3? It's a long, lazy slide of his own, it appears. Yeah, we've seen cars hydroplaning at the bottom of the hill like that, and then, yeah, just not able to keep his foot in it there. And Colin Kornick able to catch up and go around. So we begin the final lap of the race. Clint Fletcher looking to win back-to-back race 7 and race 8. Can he complete this one? He's got 10 seconds to give, so even if he makes a major mistake, he might still be able to hang on to a win. But I know he's going to just try and get around here clean one more time, and the battle is going to be on for second. The 2 Porsches back here set to do battle. So Colin Kornick seeing that in his mirror, he goes off track. Here comes Cole Jordan, gonna race on by. Able to recover already from the mistake he made and gain the position back. He lost all that time though to Clint Fletcher, who's run a very strong race. Not flawless. I don't think anyone's run anything flawlessly here tonight, but clean enough. He had the gap to give, but here he goes a little wide into the grass. Can't keep making those mistakes. The gap still about 10 seconds. And he's mostly in the clear at this point. You see Cole Jordan, Colin Kornick working through the same sections of the racetrack. We've had a change for position at the back. Looks like possibly Dean Toolin's gone around. Matthew Gazenda up to 6th. And Clint Fletcher gonna take the win at Mid-Ohio in the wet. One he'll be very proud of. Going 2 in a row here. Now the battle for second, racing back to the stripe. The 2 Porsches separated by only a few car lengths. It's Cole Jordan and Colin Kornick gonna complete the podium as they pile in here. No other battles to speak of. Brian Kennedy able to get around. He'll finish in 4th. So it's Mercedes and 3 Porsches at the front of the field tonight. Mike Nickham able to work his way into the final corner now with a good margin over Matthew Gazenda and Dean Toolin. He'll come home in the 5th place. Matthew Gazenda, assuming no other mistakes in the last turn, should come home in 6th place. And Dean Toolin, the next car behind him, will finish the race in the pits. But what an event tonight in the wet. Clint Fletcher, your winner here from Mid-Ohio. What a night. Let's see if we can pull him in. Talk to him about last night at Watkins Glen and hear about racing in the wet here at Mid-Ohio. Hey, Clint, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy? Well, Clint, not an easy set of conditions here tonight, but you're able to take advantage of others' mistakes and keep your car pretty clean through this feature event. You take the win, and I believe you won last night at Watkins Glen as well. So how's it feel to go 2 for 2 here this week?
Hardest and the rainiest session I've ever done, so that was insane.
Yeah, we saw drivers basically spinning in every corner. I mean, right from the get-go, we saw guys spinning tires and getting off track, and it looked like it was much worse in the feature race instead of the heat. Is that what you saw from your perspective? Was it worse here as the night went on?
Oh yeah, the feature race, I mean, the whole track was basically a puddle. It's like riding jet skis through this track. It was, I mean, yeah, I'm sweating bullets and I was leading and I was just trying to keep the car alive.
Yeah, you made a small mistake there, went off, and the gap shrunk down to about 6.5 seconds. And we're like, one more of those, it's going to be anybody's game. But you kept it straight, and others started to make mistakes, and you get your second victory in a row. We go to Phillip Island. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Cole was trying to tell us to take a new line, so I tried it, and that spun me out.
Yeah, maybe he was giving you bad advice there on purpose to try and catch back up, but either way, you hold him off, and we go to Phillip Island next week. How do you feel about going out there?
I honestly don't know that track. I think I own it, but I don't recall that track at all, so should be fun.
Yeah, I think we've only run it a few times here in the league in the past, but should be interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be in the same boat with limited experience there, but Clint, 2 nights in a row, 2 victories in a row. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
You for the broadcast as always, the guys for hosting the club, and then all of the sponsors that make this possible.
Awesome, Clint. Well, great drive out there. Way to keep it alive and keep it on track. And we'll catch you next week at Phillip Island.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Let's go to second place finisher now and heat race winner, Cole Jordan. This is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yep, loud and clear.
Well, Cole, a tough night here in the wet. You took a dominating victory in the heat race and ultimately came up just 1 position short here in the feature after driving through the field. But just describe tonight and the conditions that you guys had.
Yeah, I think wet's a bit of an understatement. I think I had, for better or worse, I got a bit of a leg up. Mid-Ohio's my home course, so I don't have any dry or any wet experience in it. So that was certainly one. And it's supposed to rain there this weekend, so maybe this was good practice. But no, there was definitely an advantage to not being in the spray. The wet line is unintuitive because there is no dry line to be found, especially with the way it was raining tonight. I mean, it was, I think, pooled water on probably 80% of the track. But second race, I got a little overzealous on lap 2 or 3 on an inside overtake into T1. I think I probably should have just bided my time and forced a mistake. But no, it was a fun race.
Yeah, we saw mistakes from every single driver in this feature event. We just talked to Clint, and he said, yeah, it's the rainiest session he's been a part of. It's definitely the rainiest I've ever seen, and you could see that water just continuing to fill up the banking, and even off the track, you could start to see the sand and the grass start to fill, and definitely made for a very exciting event with a lot of incidents, but not the easiest to race in.
No, definitely not. I think if Thunder Valley didn't exist, it would be a lot easier of a track. Everybody is basically trying to time their power slide into an off-camber downhill corner. But like you said, it made for a lot of opportunities to make up positions.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of passes happen and a lot of mistakes happen, but definitely a learning experience, I think, for everyone involved here tonight. It's the first time I've ever seen one that wet before, but we go to Phillip Island next week. Do you think you'll be there, and how do you feel about going out to that one?
Yeah, I would like to. I haven't run Phillip in the GT4s. Generally not my cup of tea. They're a little understeery for my liking, but I think racing with NCC is always a really good time. I've just been socially a little tied up, but I would love to be out there and fight in the mid pack. I don't know if I'll be fighting in the front like I will here. I have no advantage there. Hopefully we'll see me.
It's always nice to have that home track advantage, and you made the best of it here. You went through the field in the feature, come home in second place. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Shout out to you, man, for putting this on.
Awesome, Cole. Well, thanks for taking the time, and we'll hopefully catch you next week at Phillip Island. But until then, yeah, have a great night.
Thank you, you too, man.
Thank you. Let's go to third place finisher. That's going to be Colin Courtney. We'll see if we can pull him in here. Hey, Colin. Oh, I think we just lost him. Oh, just got him back. Hey, Colin, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy? Hey, Colin, you got me?
Hey, Adam, I got you.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Well, an interesting set of races here tonight. Super wet conditions, and you make the most of it here. Come home in third in the feature event, and you were battling it up with a few drivers at different points throughout the race. Just describe both the heat here and the feature as it got wetter and wetter.
Well, first, I want to just thank our program director for the great forecast and the conditions that we had tonight that we all enjoyed. So, a big shout out to the program director. I'm sure he's listening. Yeah, it was. I think we've had more space in the parking lot, but it was fun. It was fun sliding around. You couldn't really see anything. I think in the first race, we were all bunched up on the straight, and everybody's screaming. Somebody yell when you're hitting the brakes, because we had no idea when the braking zone was coming up. So interesting night. It was a lot of fun. I think I think one of those kind of events for the season is probably good. But it was still a lot of fun, and always a pleasure driving with the guys.
Yeah, have you ever raced in conditions this wet on iRacing before? Or is this the most wet?
This was probably the wettest. We've dabbled, and I think in the first race it kind of, and in qualifying, it kind of opened up a little bit, and then the feature race was just the worst. And there's that one section, I think it's called Thunder Valley, where you're driving over and the car is just going to slide, and you're on the curbing, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's just like ice skating almost. So yeah, it was treacherous, it was different, it was exciting, it was frustrating, it was fun. I think everybody had a moment or two of loss of control, but I don't know how that did from a broadcast perspective, but it was a hell of a lot of fun when we were driving.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting when you got cars spinning in different corners multiple times every lap. So it's definitely
Right.
from a broadcast perspective, very interesting and entertaining in that way. And I was saying that it's very opposite from what we usually see, where you guys are really clean and close on the racetrack, bumper to bumper, wheel to wheel, and this time everybody's just trying to stay away from everyone else and stay on the racetrack. But you'll have those types
Yeah.
of events. And did want to talk to you quickly before we let you go about Watkins Glen last night. Saw you finished on the podium after leading some laps in that race. How does it feel to go and get a couple podium finishes here back to back?
Yeah, I mean, as as challenging as it can be, I think I found my sweet spot, and maybe that's racing in the wet. I seem to do, be more consistent with higher finishes when it's wet. So, maybe that is my sweet spot. But yeah, last night was a lot of fun. We only had a handful of guys, just like tonight, but it was some good racing. Brian, Clint, and I had a good time, and basically it was all settled on the final lap. So lots of fun, and that's probably one of my most favorite tracks too. So always a good time.
Yeah, the Glen, definitely one of the best tracks around, and would have loved to have caught the action there, but you're able to get two podium finishes, back to back here in these two nights.
Yeah.
Anybody want to give a shout out to for tonight's race?
Of course, to my Gasper and Posse out there, whoever's watching and who's been driving, and to our sponsors, with Gunfire Games and Matt Motorsports. And again, most importantly, just want to thank our program director for the conditions the past two evenings. Didn't see him out there driving with us, so we'll give him a little bit of grief about it as soon as we can.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott loved seeing all the action on track tonight. It was definitely entertaining, and it'll be one to go back and watch, and it's a classic for multiple different reasons. But thanks for taking some time here, Colin, in the post race, and have a good night. We'll catch you next week at Phillip Island.
All right, Adam. Thanks as always. Really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
That is Colin Kortnick, third place finisher, as we go to the rest of the race results. What an interesting night here from Phillip Island, or rather from Mid-Ohio. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's where we're going next week. You can see your top 7 finishers in order. Clint Fletcher goes back-to-back this week. He wins at Watkins Glen, and he wins here at Mid-Ohio. Cole Jordan wins the heat race tonight, finishes in second in the feature. Colin Kortnick, 2 third-place finishes in a row the last 2 nights. Brian Kennedy comes home 4th. Mike Nickham in 5th. Matthew Gazenda in 6th. Dean Tulien, after leading lap number 1, he'll be relegated to the 7th place position in this one. But what an interesting night here for Mid-Ohio. Soaking wet Mid-Ohio, mind you. And looking forward to heading to Phillip Island next week. We have lots of races between now and then, so make sure to stay subscribed on the channel here. Hit that bell icon to stay notified of when we go live, and you'll catch all of the action as we do. And thank you so much for tuning in here on V-Speed, and have a great night.